Good morning, gang. Happy Sunday morning. So, I always start everything with so. I guess it's just what's running through the squirrel cage. So, anybody ever think about this one? Because it's certainly been on my mind with everything going on lately. Equal rights. Now, for the longest time, probably 50 years, equal rights was meant to be that women had the same rights as men, okay? The Equal Rights Amendment, we had the women's suffrage movement, God knows what, okay? Equal rights. And for the most part, the American citizenry agreed with it and said, yeah, women are equal to men. This is not Afghanistan. Women aren't at the same level as the sheep or the donkey out in the yard. Have you noticed that lately the rights that we have are going the exact opposite way? That they aren't equal anymore? They're supposed to be equal on the surface, but they aren't at all, okay? And I'll bring up a few points on this one. Now, we all know that the workforce situation in the U.S. right now is a complete shambles, okay? Non-farm payroll numbers came out the other day. They missed by 500,000 numbers. It's probably the worst unemployment or worst payroll numbers that have come out in the history of the payroll numbers. Thanks, Joe. But, we've got all these open jobs. We've got nobody that wants to go to work because there's been all this free money given out and, all this sort of crazy crap. So, the government has just done whatever they can to destroy it. But so a story came out yesterday evening about EVerify. Everybody's, hey, we got to make sure that all these people are legal to work in the United States. All the 2 million border crossers coming across the southern border that want to go to the United States for a better life. Well, okay, you're not supposed to be able to work in the United States unless you are a U.S. citizen, a green card holder, you've got an employment authorization document, your H-1B visa, whatever it would be. Again, my industry, so I kind of know about this. Get this one. Does it sound like November to you? The EVerify system. Errors in the EVerify system have deemed, so far what they've found, 613,000 people authorized to, given EADs, employment authorization documents, to work in the United States who don't qualify for them. Because the person, when they turn in IDs or whatever it is, facial recognition software doesn't notice that, my picture doesn't look like Jason Charles. All right. But hey, here you go. Here's your EAD. Now, think about this. Fake IDs like crazy all over the place. We've seen the stories about people getting arrested lately for producing fake COVID passports and all this sort of crap, or, shot records, whatever it would be. Well, there's always been a fake ID market in the United States. Always has been. You always remember the old movies where you see, the guy go in the back alley or whatever and pay the mob guy off. Here's a social security card and a passport and a driver's license and, whatever it would be. And you had something. Computers kind of destroyed a lot of that because, now there's a barcode on the back of your driver's license. Cop doesn't type in your name anymore. He just scans your barcode. Well, it isn't even a real ID. Okay. But imagine that you now get audited from the IRS. Why? You filled out your taxes last year. No problem. And the IRS comes back and says, well, you've got $30,000 in unreported income. Huh? Well, yeah, because you worked for, the Sweetberry Strawberry Farm out in Burbank, California. And you're like, but I live in New Hampshire. Yeah, but we've got, your social security number is on this pay stub for, you see where I'm going with this? We don't have equal rights. We don't even have the right to our own identity with this government anymore. our identity as an American, because, hey, you know what? Everybody should be an American. We don't need a border. I don't have a right to my own personal identity anymore. You know, the identity I'm allowed to have by this government is, are you vaccinated? You know, my identity, as far as the U.S. U.S. government is concerned, is not Pinball from Tennessee. It is straight, white, unvaccinated Christian. And all of those things are bad. God forbid you be straight. God forbid you be white. God forbid you be unvaccinated. God forbid you be a Christian, according to this government. Okay? Everything about our identity is being taken from us. Where's my right to have me as an individual? You know, then you get the other one. I go back to the women's suffrage and everything like that. Very sneakily here on Saturday, Congress passed, it came out of committee, hasn't passed yet, but out of the Armed Services Committee, have recommended that women be susceptible to the draft. Now, is that equal rights? Well, maybe. Equal rights would be, are women allowed to join the military? Yes. Okay. Up until 5 or 6 years ago, there were MOSs, job classes for, I don't know what the Navy or Air Force or Marine Corps call job class, but Army, it's MOS, military occupational specialty. Women could join about 90% of the fields in the Army. Now, I found that totally fine, because when I joined the Army nearly 40 years ago, there were certain jobs I didn't qualify for. On my ASVAB, I qualified to have any job in the military I wanted. Okay, I scored high on it. But what jobs didn't I qualify? I couldn't be a tanker. I was too tall. Okay, so there's always going to be limitations of anybody for what they can do. All right, based on anything. I mean, when the Army assigned me a language, they assigned me Czech to learn. Why? Well, I don't know. Maybe it's because my heritage, and I could actually pass as Eastern European because I've kind of got that look. It's not like that was the only way they did it, but the needs of the military still came into play. But that was probably a good idea, why they didn't teach me Korean, So, equal rights. We all have different rights. But now they're going to talk about bringing women in the military, or requiring women to register for the draft. Usually when you have a draft, it's because you need to draft combat troops. Okay, think of Vietnam, all right? Drafted a lot of people, and most of the guys that got drafted were sent to combat in some way, shape, or form, okay? Sure, you had medics drafted and stuff like that. But, I'm betting you didn't have a whole lot of guys that were drafted and then said, gee, we're going to send you to be let's use the 31 Echo. We're going to send you to be a prison guard at Fort Leavenworth, okay? I'm betting that wasn't a high priority. So if we're drafting women, does that mean that we are drafting women specifically to put them into harm's way, into combat roles? Now think about this. For 50, 60, 100 years, we fought for equal rights. Is the equal rights that you want that your daughter, granddaughter, sister, wife, whatever, be drafted and put into harm's way? Our rights are being taken away from us left and right, guys. Our right to be an individual, our right to speak our mind, our right to our religion, whatever. Somehow, some way, somewhere, this is going to come to a head. Eventually, and we're getting closer every day. You can see with all these people quitting their jobs because of mandates. Okay. Eventually, it's going to come to a head where people are going to finally say, I've had enough. And I've said it many times. All it's going to take is one spark that's going to light the fuse. And that's when all hell breaks loose. And y'all need to be ready for that at any given moment. Deep. Have a good Sunday. Pinball out.